Hello and welcome to this week's engineering announcements from the IBA. Television picture quality. Peter Ashforth and Pat Hawker compare the quality of transmitted pictures with the quality of reception in the home. In transmitter news, the latest extensions to the Channel 4 network and details of 2 new relays, in Dorset, Chilfram, and in Torbay, Clennon Valley. But first, over to Peter Ashforth.
We've talked once or twice recently, Pat, about new technological breakthroughs to improve picture quality even further, such things as high-definition television, digital television and so on. But we continue to get letters from frustrated viewers and dealers who say the pictures they get now are not as good as they should be, even under the present conditions.
Well, of course, our first concern is to make sure that the transmissions, the pictures as leaving us, are of very good quality. And even there, we do run into considerable problems on meeting that requirement. That's quite apart from all the problems of reception.
Now, let's get this absolutely right. There are 2 distinct things here. There are reception problems and the quality of the pictures as transmitted. I was always under the assumption that the pictures transmitted from the transmitters are always of A1 quality.
Well, we certainly have a very stiff technical quality code of practice, but nevertheless, a lot of pictures these days come from programs bought in from overseas sources. Sometimes the number of generations of tape, they've been copied and sometimes gone through various transcoding and standards conversion processes and so on, and one would have to admit that some pictures do contain more noise than they should do. And certainly you can notice this difference if you look at some of the pictures that come live from well-lit studios. For instance, you look at ITN News newsroom pictures and you will find that they are of exceptionally good quality.
Presumably poor quality in the pictures transmitted that you've just referred to, there's very little anybody can do about that.
No, indeed. And of course, not every domestic receiver even is capable of detecting the amount of degradation, but certainly some are. But much more frequent, of course, is the problems of actual reception.
Right, so what can be done there?
Well, a lot of these problems come nowadays from sort of urban shadowing and people having to receive pictures from bounced off of buildings and so on. But a particular problem that has caused quite a number of instances, and that is reflections from moving cranes. And as this is a constantly moving and changing pattern, it can be extremely poor quality pictures. And that is one of our big problems that we've had to overcome by putting in extra relay stations in some areas.
Now, you say one of our big problems. I would have thought some people might think that that wasn't our problem at all. Once the pictures leave the transmitter, once the signals leave the transmitter, then that's it.
Well, in a sense, I mean, it's the old phrase of it's all right leaving us. But nevertheless, you see, back in almost 10 years ago, the Annan Committee did try to suggest that where viewers are deprived of a good off-air signal by new buildings or other structures, it's up to the planning authority to ensure that the developers meet the capital cost of providing an alternative means of reception. Unfortunately, that particular recommendation was never taken up by government, and as far as I'm aware, there is no obligation on developers to do anything about it when they put up a new building, unless they do this voluntarily. And I must admit, some of the bigger companies now are taking this into account.
But generally, a lot of these problems remain.
A number of them remain, and there is, in fact, on the horizon yet another problem, and that is the power-generating wind turbines. These experimental ones that have been put up on the Orkney Islands, big sort of windmill-type structures. And already we've had to put, for instance, Burger Hill relay, which was opened last year, was in fact made necessary by even a small experimental wind turbine. And we've done a lot of work on this, and we are hopeful that the planning of these wind turbines, when they spread over other parts of the country, will be done in very careful collaboration with the broadcasters to ensure that we don't need to have too many new extra relays.
Fortunately, not too many new wind turbines down in Lewisham, but thank you very much, Pat.
Peter Ashforth talking with Pat Hawker. Transmitter news now, and in the Midlands, Channel 4 from Sutton Coldfield is on reduced power today. This is for aerial maintenance, and it's hoped to resume full power at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. In Scotland, on the Isle of Skye, Scrieig is liable to be off the air between 9 and 6 starting today and lasting until Friday. This is for aerial work, weather permitting, and also it affects 11 dependent relays. In South Wales, Aberdare is off this morning between 9:30 and midday for an electrical inspection. This will also affect Cwmaman and Fern Hill. And the same applies in North Wales, Glencorrig off this morning between 9:30 and 11:30. In Dorset, Winterbourne Sickland is liable to interruption today between 10 and 12:30.
Tomorrow morning in Sussex, a short interruption at Newhaven is expected between 11 and about 11:15. In Kent, Ham Street is expected to be off tomorrow afternoon between 2:30 and 2:45. In Scotland, Creetown will be off tomorrow between 9 and 4 because of work by the Electricity Board. And for the same reason, in North Wales, Winevow will be off on Thursday between 9:30 and 4.
On Thursday morning in South Wales, there's an electrical inspection at Rhondda and the station will be off from 9:30 until 11:30. In Derbyshire, Stanton Moor will be off on Thursday between 10 and 10:30 for electrical work. This will also affect Matlock and Ashford in the Water. For the same reason, in Kent, Horn Street will be off on Thursday morning between 11 and 11:15. And Dover Town will be off on Thursday afternoon between 2:30 and 2:45.
New relays now, and due on the air towards the end of February, Chilfrum in Dorset. This is for about 420 people in Maiden Newton, Cattistock, Chilfrum and Frome St Quentin. Programmes from HTV West and TV-AM will be on Channel 45, with Channel 4 on 52. The aerial group is B, and do note that the polarisation here is horizontal. Chilfrum is expected on air towards the end of the month.
And also hope to be ready at the end of the month in Torbay, Clennon Valley. This is for about 1,100 people in parts of Clennon Valley and Totnes Road in Paynton. Programmes from Television South West and TV-AM will be on Channel 49 and Channel 4 on 42. Group B aerials are needed vertically polarised. That's Clennon Valley expected on the air towards the end of the month.
Channel 4 next, and now on the air in Scotland, Ballachulish on Channel 29, Onich on 54 and Kinloch Leven on 65. Between them, these stations add about 2,400 people to Channel 4's coverage. Due later this week, in Wiltshire, Shrewton on Channel 47, and in Scotland, Mallaig on Channel 50, Glen Urquhart on 47, and Wester Urquhart on 31. Hope to be ready towards the end of the month. In Scotland, Braemar on Channel 49, on South Uist, Kilbride on 42, in Cornwall, Looe on 50 and Helston on 54, and in Derbyshire, Hope on 32.
And that's all for this week. But if you have any technical queries on independent television or local radio, do contact us. Our address, Engineering Information Service, Independent Broadcasting Authority, Crawley Court, Winchester, Hampshire, postcode SO21 2QA. You can telephone our inquiry office on Winchester, area code 0962 822444. If it's cheaper, you can dial our London number, that's 584 7011, and ask for engineering information. We'll be on the air again next Tuesday at 9:15 and again in all regions except Wales at 12:15. So from John Lovell and from me, Janet Smythe, goodbye until next week.